So I welcome you all. Today I have pre-informed this. We have presentation on climate change, and I would like to request our Asmita Miss to proceed forward in this topic. Okay, Asmita Miss, you can continue now. Hello, Asmita Miss, are you listening me?
You are not listening my voice?
We are listening your voice too low, Miss. We were listening your voice fine before you are speaking, but we are not listening now. Well,
Okay. Can you hear now?
yeah, we can hear, but you need to speak a bit louder, Miss.
Oh, that's
Okay,
okay.
okay,
Let me.
it's fine now. You can continue.
Okay, good evening everyone again. I am Asmita Rai and I'm your fellow classmate in MPA first semester. Today I'm going to present about climate change. The presentation flow will be something like this. Firstly, we will discuss about the concept of climate change. What is climate change? Then after the evidence of climate change, that means those factors which indicate that there is climate change, we will be seeing that. And next one is causes of climate change. And then we will relate climate change in Nepal. What is the conditions? What are the impacts? And how is Nepal trying to cope with the climate change? And finally, the measures for addressing the climate change at national level and international level. So let's start with the concept of climate change first. I hope you are listening me well. If you have any sound problem, then please feel free to tell me. So
Okay,
I'm starting with
okay, Miss, we
concept.
are fine with your sound now. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so let's start with concept. Okay, that you can see there, climate change is made up of two words, climate and change. So climate is the long-term average of weather. That in weather we study about temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, and precipitation. So I'm giving you examples. Okay. So if the data may not be right, but I'm just giving you example. Since we are living in Kathmandu and we experience temperature of about 8 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius at most, and we receive rainfall of about 1500 mm annually. That means regarding this features of the temperature and rainfall, we can say that the climate of Kathmandu is a temperate one. That means we are considering the weather factor, the average weather factor, and determining the climate. And next, the word is change. Change refers to alternations, difference, or variation in some particular. You can say that if there is any fluctuations in anything that is changed, thus climate change is the difference in the pattern of climate or fluctuations in the climate is climate change. And it is different in different places over the time. But nowadays, we can see that the term climate change is used to refer to global warming, and global warming is the increase in the temperature of the earth. Okay, so let's move to the next slide where we can see that if there is really climate change or not, the evidence for climate change. So I have related this evidence of climate change with the condition of climate change in the world or the effects of climate change in the world. Here I have presented three pictures and I have retrieved this from Google. In the first picture, you can see that there is fire, and you must be well known with the fact that in last December of 2019, we have heard news of Australia having a very horrible bushfire and where thousands of wildlife they lost their lives. In the next picture, there is a picture of drought due to the lack of the water. And finally, in the third picture, there is a picture of cyclone. And the island countries like Japan, they are very prone to face this time and often, and many people lose their life in these conditions. So due to this occurrence of natural disaster time and again, it indicates that there is climate change in the world. In the next slide, it is made further clear. So This picture resembles a little bit of coronavirus. In the center, you can see that climate change and there are factors that indicate that. So I've already moved in the next slide. Okay, so in the center, you can see climate change and there are other risk factors that is the result of climate change. Okay, so I am starting with extreme weather events. We used to have a rainfall in June 10th in Nepal. Monsoon enters in June 10th, but nowadays we see the fluctuations. It is not exactly at June 10th. So the temperature of the our country is also increasing every year. So you can see that there is the weather events, they are not in the same pattern. Next one is melting glaciers. The ice region of the world, they are melting due to the increase of temperature, and the increase in temperature means fluctuations in the weather, which indicates that there is climate change. Next one is people health. Nowadays, different kinds of new viruses, new kinds of diseases, they are coming into existence and affecting us. So there, after that, there is landslide, and I'm putting this landslide, floods, drought, hurricanes, all kinds of these natural disasters in one point. Next one is sea level rise. Due to the increasing melting of glaciers, the level of the sea, it is increasing, and countries like Maldives, uh, Japan, this kind of island countries, they are in a state of questioning their existence now. Will they be there in coming 20 years or not because of the sea level rise? And next one is global phenomenon. What I mean to say here in global phenomenon is that the ecosystem imbalance. There are 118 ecosystems, this types of ecosystem in our country, but out of them, 4 mammals and 7 species of birds are believed to go extinct in the upcoming years due to the climate change. Okay, so these are the effects of climate change, and if these are the things that indicate that the climate of our world is changing. Um, Now, let's see the causes of climate change. So, climate it is a natural thing, so it is also caused by the nature. But apart from nature, the humans are also responsible for causing the climate change. So I have divided the causes of climate change into two parts. One is anthropogenic and next is natural. Anthropogenic refers to the factors that are caused by humans. The first one is chemical fertilizers. The population of the world is increasing day by day, and naturally, the amount of food, the amount of materials uh, demands are increasing day by day. And to meet with the demand, the producers or the farmers, they are um, using different kinds of hazardous chemical fertilizers, which not only pollutes the land, but also pollutes the air and causes climate change. Next one is deforestation. The cutting down of the trees uh, directly impacts in the air cycle. Trees, they are the producers of oxygen and consumers of carbon dioxide, but due to the rapid cutting down of the trees, the amount of carbon dioxide could be more and the natural productions of the oxygen amount could decrease. That causes climate change. Next one is increased vehicles, industries and emissions of carbon dioxide. They are related, so I'm explaining it in one point. The vehicles, industries, they produce not only carbon dioxide but sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and other different kinds of harmful gases. They are which are responsible for climate change. Next one is emissions of greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are those gases that causes greenhouse effect or which are responsible for increasing the temperature of the earth, and ultimately they cause climate change. Now I am moving into natural causes. The first one is solar cycle. Solar cycle means in the same particular place, we do not have same amount of sunlight throughout the year. In winter, we have less sunlight, so we feel chill and cold. In the summer, in summer or spring, we have pleasant sunlight and we feel hot. So there is a difference of climate because of solar cycle. Next one is ocean currents. You may have read in class 8, 9 in science book that the ocean currents is responsible for bringing the rainfall in particular place. In Nepal, we have monsoon because of Indian Ocean currents. But if there is fluctuations in ocean currents, there could be climate change also. The amount of rainfall could vary, the directions of the rainfall could vary. And next one is forest fire. If there are forest fire, obviously there will be productions of carbon dioxide, and that causes climate change. Next one is volcanic eruption. During volcanic eruptions, uh, polluted gases, acids, and other harmful materials are there released into the atmosphere, and that causes climate change. Next one is meteoroids. So meteoroids, it is called Ulka in Nepali, I think so, and it is a piece of stone or metal that comes into the earth from the outer space. But when the meteoroid hits the earth, it is prone to produce acids and other harmful materials. And scientists they have noted that when the meteoroid hits the earth, it could block the radiation of sun for several days, and it can cause decrease in the temperature of the earth. And finally, methane emission from animals. Not animals, not all the animals produce methane, but there are animals who feed on grasses and they have a rumen in their stomach, which is capable of producing methane. So, according to scientists, the animals which is responsible for producing methane most is cow and pigs. So these are the causes. Okay. Now I am moving into the next slide where I have tried to relate climate change in Nepal. So I have taken a picture from Google, and this picture speaks a thousands of words, uh, and all the it includes all the things that I have said up to now. Firstly, it shows the conditions of climate change in Nepal. I am stating a fact, okay? So please listen carefully if you are not able to see the pictures clearly also. But I will say each and every point here, so please listen carefully. The condition of climate change in Nepal. The first thing is the temperature of our country is increasing by 0.06 degrees Celsius every year. And being a Himalayan nation, there are a number of glacial lakes in Nepal, and but among them, 21 of our glacial lakes are identified to be in potential outburst conditions. And if those 21 uh, glacial lakes, if they outburst, then about 5, 500 million people are estimated to be affected. Next one is we hear the news of floods and landslides every year during the monsoon. And now also we are having a monsoon in Nepal, and every day in the news we hear that and this number of people are killed by floods, this number of people are killed by landslides, and it is estimated that due to those flood and landslide only, Nepal faces economic damage of rupees 4 billion per year. 4 billion per year, and around 16 lakh people are affected directly and indirectly from natural disasters every year. And the next well-known fact is that the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere of Nepal has been increasing daily, and Nepal ranked as the 14th most vulnerable country in terms of climate change. Okay, so these are the facts, and other impacts are uh, due to the climate change are, you know, there could be the increase in the epidemic diseases. We are prone to face epidemic diseases. Next one, and earlier I told you that Nepal has 118 ecosystems, and out of them, 4 mammals and 7 species of birds are believed to go extinct. And similarly, in addition to that, 9.7% population of our country can be affected by drought very soon. And we have 35 different types of forest in our country, but among 35 types, 12 to 15 types of forest can be destroyed because of climate change. So we all know that these are the impacts of climate change in our country, but what is our country doing in order to stop climate change or in order to reduce the climate change impact in our country? So let's see this in the measures that are being taken to address the climate change. Vikram sir, next slide please. Okay, so the measures for addressing climate change, I have divided it into two parts, national level and international level. In the earlier picture also, you could see some of the measures that Nepal has taken at national level to address climate change, but you could not see there properly, so I have listed it differently in the next slide. So firstly, let's see at the measures at national level. So next slide. Okay, so our country is trying to address the climate change in two ways. First one is adaptations, and next one is mitigations. Adaptation includes those actions in which our country is accepting climate change and trying to adopt only. It is not trying to reduce, but trying to adopt. It is already there, so it is just trying to adopt. So there are things by how our country is trying to adopt. First one is change in the land use and relocation. Change in the land use means it could be the change in the use of the agricultural tools or afforestation programs like that. And next one is emergency and business continuity planning. Instead of promoting agriculture only in the country, our country is also providing other job opportunities for the people, and it is trying to relate the farmers with the marketplace so that they could rely instead of not being relied on the agriculture only. Next one is upgrades or hardening of building and infrastructures. So what it means to say is that we are sure that natural disaster is going to hit. So why not to build stronger infrastructures or stronger buildings, because we are going to face with it naturally. That's why, for example, if a flood is sure to occur in a river, then we could just build a stronger bridge because we can't stop the flood from coming. But we can build a stronger bridge to uh, cope with that. Next one is residential programs promoting events. So in residential programs promoting adaptation, uh, it includes things like building building residential areas in the safer place, and encouraging participation from the communities like that. Next one, and the lastly is health programs. Stronger health facilities or better health facilities in the local areas could help to cope with the increasing epidemics or diseases in the society. So these are the adaptation measures. Next one is mitigation. In mitigations, it includes the action in which our government is trying to reduce or it is trying to decrease the climate change. So the first one is by conserving energy or by afforestation it could be, or by using the natural renewable energy sources instead of the fossil fuels and petroleum. I include that in renewable energy. Next one is sustainable transportation, improved fuel efficiency. Um, Next is capture and use of landfill and digester gas, and lastly carbon sinks. Okay, so these are at the national level. And for your information, our country, Nepal, is the first country in the world to implement local adaptation plan of action in the whole world. So now let's move to the measures that have been taken by the whole world. or at the international level. So next slide. So it is going to be very long. It could be boring, but please listen carefully. The first measures at international level is First World Climate Conference in 1979. It was held in Geneva and it was sponsored by WMO or World Meteorological Organization. It studies about the climate. So the outcome of this conference was that the establishment of World Climate Program, World Climate Research Program, and it also led to the creation of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change by WMO and UNEP in 1988. Next one is COP1. So COP refers to the conference of parties where the state head or the head of the country they get together and discuss about the environmental issues. And up to now, I think we have come up to COP25 so far in the last year. Next one is Kyoto Protocol, a very important environmental treaty ever negotiated, and it is named after the Japanese city in which it was adopted in December 1997. And the main objective of this protocol is to reduce the emission of gases that was contributing in global warming. It is implemented from 2005, February 16, and the protocol it listed the six greenhouse gases to be reduced in emissions in 41 countries of the world, including European Union. Next one is Doha Amendment. Amendment means changes in the policy or in the policy or law. So Doha Amendment is simply the continuation of scope and the change in the Kyoto Protocol Kyoto Protocol. The Article 20 and 21 of the Kyoto Protocol was changed in Doha Amendment, and the Doha Amendment in Doha Amendment uh, it made changes in the Kyoto Protocol, and also it added new emission reduction targets for second commitment period of 2012 to 2020 for the participating countries of Kyoto Protocol. Next one is Cancun. So Cancun, it is the name of city in Mexico, and the COP16 was held in Cancun, and the outcome of the summit was an agreement adopted by the state parties that called for a large green climate fund and a climate technology center and network. Next one is Copenhagen Accord. So Copenhagen Accord is again the continuation of COP, but it helped in endorsing the Kyoto Protocol, and it strongly um, supported the measures that were taken against the climate change, and it underlined the fact that climate change is one of the greatest challenges of the time. And the next one is Lima Call for Action. So Lima Call for Action, it encourages government to develop education strategies and to incorporate the issue of climate change in curriculum. Also, it recommended countries to include climate change awareness raising in their national development strategies. And finally, the most important one, Paris Agreement, also called COP21. So delegates at the COP21, uh, it was held in Paris, France in 2015. They signed a global treaty in which the term carbon trade was introduced. So carbon trade is basically the exchange of credits between nations to reduce the emissions of carbon dioxide. So what happens here is each country has a limited amount of carbon emissions limit, and and carbon emission trading uh, allows the countries that have higher carbon emission to purchase the right to release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere from the countries that have lower carbon emission. For example, US produces more amount of carbon dioxide than Nepal, so they can pay Nepal for producing more carbon dioxide for so and Nepal can get because it has more trees, more afforested area, uh, in return in return of giving the opportunity to US for producing more carbon dioxide. Okay, so this was all, and I hope you got something from me. So if there is any questions or any confusion, you could ask me.
Okay, thank you, Asmita Miss, for your presentation on climate change. So I have set two arguers in this presentation. One is Siva sir, and Siva sir, if you are ready for any queries or question, you may go forward. And I was the second one, and just I want to delegate if anyone is willing to ask or Asmita Miss any question about this climate change. I'm just giving my chance to you if you just wish. First, if Siva sir is ready, you can ask the question.
No question, sir. You can ask, sir. I have no question.
So if anyone is willing to ask any question, I just delegate my arguing to you. So if anyone have question, please ask. We have 8 minutes to end this session. All of you are clear with this, then it is fine. So Asmita Miss, there was one finding that you just cited. I have just another finding in another fact about the status of climate change in Nepal. So this is the study conducted by one report. I haven't just you can see in this report Nepal is this report was published in 2019, and you can see Nepal is in the fourth rank. And I think that in that USAID or WWF report, Nepal was in, I guess it was 14. Am I right?
Yes, sir, it was listed in 14th.
Yeah, it was listed in 14th as per the climate change risks, but by 2019, it's observed from 1998 to 2017. You may see almost 20 year, 2 decades observation that Nepal has just become more vulnerable. So, Asmita Miss, can you explain why this uh, had happened to Nepal, that why this risk is increasing in Nepal? So any idea, then you may just elucidate it.
Okay, so it is just an individual opinion. So I may not give you a very precise answer, but just an individual opinion. I think the first thing is that we haven't actually changed the way we perceive climate change. We are continuing deforestation, even though we plan, we have afforestation programs, but we are cutting down more trees. And not only that, in the local levels or in the many parts of the country, people is still they use fire. They depend on firewood. They still do overgrazing and cut forests. And not only in the national level, but because of the other developed countries, also our country is facing the problem. Even though our country does not have many industries or uh, carbon dioxide producing agents in our own country, but I think we are also facing the climate change risk because of other developed countries which has more productions of carbon dioxide and other gases which causes climate change. And in Nepal, I think the awareness program among the people, I think that is also less. I think so, sir.
Thank you, Asmita, for your response. And if other are willing to ask any question, then you have we have 5 minutes to end this session. You may ask. Otherwise, if you have not, then I would like to ask same question to one of our friend, Miss Deepa Paneru. You may just explain your answer in this question, that why we she's from botany background, so she is just used to with climate change and this type of contemporary type of issue. So if you want to just express your view, then you can just share us that why Nepal is in the trend of being more vulnerable and more risk of climate change.
Okay, I just want to add a little more information about the factual or the facts about the climate warming, as the many scientists claim the climate change as a hypothetical phenomenon, because the earth never remains same, the biotic factor never remains same, as we also know that the carbon sources are also declining day by day, and there's also the probability of declining the or decreasing the climate change. uh, can we just discuss about this fact?
Yeah, you can just go on, but we have remaining 3 minutes, around 3 minutes 50 seconds. Describe in brief. I think she has a network problem and she have just left the meeting, maybe due to internet problem. So anyone, if you have any other queries in this, you may ask to Asmita Miss. I just thank to Asmita Miss for her presentation, and we are also just